put it out there. You and I and many others, but let's just say the individuals who are willing to go on YouTube, go on an audio podcast. We're putting it out there. Not everybody's comfortable. It seems like in our world, of course, that's what you do. But not everybody thinks that way.
No.
Not everybody's willing to put themselves out there. I sometimes think every time I release a podcast or any time that Stephanie and I do a Mindset Matters, I know that there's a bunch of people that either judge it, want to trash it, want to troll it. And, so you have to have a pretty altruistic view of why you do it in order to put yourself in that position. All I'm saying is that the message that we put out there in a podcast, in a YouTube, the little insights that we can provide can shift people's perspective. And that's one of the primary drivers that I do what I do, is that, if I can help shape the world, if I can give somebody else a different perspective and a different view of the world, that's another thing to do. So that's why I pay attention to all these things. And, I look in the future, I'm very optimistic, although it's hard to be that way when you look at just what the hell's going on in the world.
Yeah, and I have this board with all these sayings on it, and I really feel like I forget the saying, but it's basically like when things are most chaotic, or from the chaos comes the clarity, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, this feeling that we have, like this feeling that's kind of looming over everybody, and like if we were in the 40s right now, like we would call it like World War, like the whole world is at war. It's a mess. Everybody's divided. It's a big mess. But like from this chaos, hopefully something better comes from it. Like regardless of what it looks like, okay? Like this is not the model, whatever it is, right? Whether it's the US model, the UK model, the British model, like whatever model we're following now, it's fucking broken on every level. There's no more duct tape that can hold this thing together, and it will explode. It will explode. And I don't know what that's going to feel like, but from this explosion, hopefully, like, we get a better system, not like a worse, crazy one like people are predicting. Like maybe we end up, okay, listen, everybody's afraid of these digital currencies. Okay. You want to be afraid of a digital currency? Hello. Like, what isn't tracked here right now? If you got something to hide, then fine. Be afraid. If you're doing, I don't want to pay taxes either, but you know what? Eventually they get you taxes.
Don't get me going on CBDC. I'm not afraid of CBDC, by the way. I've studied a lot. But where CBDC leads to is not about whether I get hammered more taxes or I can't transact under the table, because that I don't do that anyways. It's not a concern for me. I might give my grandson $10. I'm sure he'll be taxed on it in the future because I'll have to do it CBDC. It isn't about that. It is actually about the level of control that the government has over you when it comes to everything from where you spend, carbon credits, how, in fact, what you're going to eat or not eat, social credits. That's all there. So if you've spent any time, this is already in place in China, and millions of people. Now, what's interesting about China is that culture. So literally, if you jaywalk in China, in some cities in China right now, you literally get a ticket. You then get shamed on the big screen. They then take the cash from your account that pays that ticket. Now,
for jaywalking?
Jaywalking.
Wow. You're not going to jaywalk again, though. That's for goddamn sure.
And you get shamed on the big screen. And I'm not joking about this. This is for real. So we have spent time in China because my wife and I did a lot of business. Stephanie and I did a lot of business there. Here's the thing. Friends coming from, I don't remember what frickin' city she's coming from. I can't ever remember. Stephanie and I were in, I think, Hangzhou or Beijing. It doesn't matter. Colleen's there. She works for Cirque du Soleil. They're doing a show. She says, why don't I jump on the train and come visit you guys? She's a Canadian that was working in there. And I would go, that'd be awesome. And so it's a 3-hour train ride, bullet train, that fast unit that they got, 3 hours. So it's not easy, right? So she goes to buy a first class ticket, a business class ticket. They're not ultra expensive when you're doing, anyways, doesn't matter. She goes and it won't let her buy a freaking ticket. She's going, God, damn it. So anyway, she gets on and she has to, get in the cattle car to travel to see us. And she's telling us about this, and she's going, it's just, I'm pissed off. I've never had that happen before. And being on the cattle car for 3 hours in China is no fun. And so, anyways, long story short, she goes to buy the ticket back. She can't do it. She sees a guy on the whatever ticket guy, somebody who works for the train, calls him over, kind of gets a translator. He basically says, no, you can't buy a ticket. And it was because she had had an incident at the bank and they dinged her social credit score.
Wow.
And that prevented her, CBDC, that prevented her from buying that ticket. So we look at CBDC, it's not about hiding money, tax, it's about control. And when we know the initiative around things like carbon credits, by the way, it is true story. You bought too much meat, you need, you're cut off, or you're going to pay 3x to buy the carbon credits. And if you've noticed on any plane tickets that you've bought, what are they doing? They're going, oh, this is your carbon usage on this flight. It's all set up for that. And so it's already in place. It's already proven. That's where they're going.
Oh, yeah.
That's the problem with CBDC. So am I afraid of them? No, but I am afraid of the control.
So let me ask you a couple of questions here. Because, so I decided that I wasn't going to take the medicine that they thought was very necessary for everybody. And I felt like I was already under control. Like I couldn't go to a restaurant, and I still can't fly to the States, funny enough, which I don't even understand that. I think next month that's supposed to change, but I can, like, I felt like a prisoner in my own country already, right? Now, if we think back to the convoy, I bet some of those people would say that they felt that there was a level of control over their funds.
There was.
So I hear you, and I'm sure CBDCs are not meant to be a great thing for any of us, but I think there's scarier things than that we have to focus on, because we are tracked and traced by everything. Like everything around us is recording something and sending it somewhere.
Oh, 100%. Oh yeah. That's and so sometimes I go, we as people don't like change. We just, by our nature, we don't like change. You don't like change. You like to be comfortable, quote unquote. You like the comfort, right?
Oh, yeah.
We all do. And, if you're going to make change, and I'm kind of designed for change. I embrace change. But when I'm looking at least I believe I do, I might be full of shit. But I think at the end of the day, when I'm forced change, then I get a little bitchy. When somebody's telling me what's good for me, that pisses me off,
Right. But so if it was a place maybe that we grew up in, or a place that we felt a connection that was worth saving or fighting for, like I would leave here in a heartbeat, right? And if I felt like, listen, if I really wanted to move and I didn't feel like really safe anymore, it'd be like, kids, guess what? You're moving. I don't give a shit, right? You're coming with me. And we would move, because I would not, under any circumstance, fight for this place. I wouldn't. That's the honest to God truth. And I look at people, like I know I have a lot of Israeli friends. I'm Jewish. So I end up meeting a lot of Israelis one way or another. And I think they're all crazy, because they all fight for their country and they would all do it again. Right. And I think they're crazy that they don't just move and get their kids out of there before they get drafted into the army. But I guess they think it's worth fighting for. Right. Because I don't know, would you strap on a backpack and some boots and grab a gun and go out there? Would you jump out of a plane for this place?
If I had knees that still worked, maybe.
I don't care how good my body worked.
You're right. Under the current leadership, I wouldn't.